four horsemen of the apocalypse have challenged the imagination of every generation since the end of the first century. Moving relentlessly across history, they wield great destructive power over humanity. But are these ominous riders relevant in the 21st century?
This pandemic came out of China, and it came out of China for a reason. That's a country with poor health practices. It's a country where government officials deliberately covered up the early stages of the virus when it could have been stopped before it spread out of control. In fact, the outbreak may have begun not in a public meat market, but in a poorly run Chinese laboratory. Now, that's not our theory. Anyone who raises that theory on American television is attacked as a conspiracy monger. But this is a theory from a now censored Chinese paper. A draft paper posted in mid-February, scientists at the South China University of Technology suggested that the coronavirus outbreak, began at the Wuhan Center for Disease Control, where an animal may have infected a researcher who then spread the disease outside the facility. The paper is explicit about this. We're going to quote it. The killer coronavirus probably originated from a laboratory in Wuhan, end quote. Now, we have no idea if that's actually true. But again, those were Chinese researchers making an evidence-based argument about the origin of this virus. That paper has since been taken down. No explanation has been offered for that, though you can guess.
As John's vision outlines, the white, red, and black horsemen of deception, war, and famine can be the lead-in to a fourth devastating condition. In the book of Revelation, where Jesus is seen opening a scroll sealed in 7 places, the fourth broken seal gives the identity of the fourth horseman. Beyond the death and devastation brought about by the first 3 horses and their riders comes the next. When he opened the fourth seal, I heard the voice of the fourth living creature saying, "Come and see." So I looked, and behold, a pale horse, and the name of him who sat on it was Death, and Hades followed with him.
Instead, China, the same country that controls 96% of antibiotics we use in this nation, the same country that is warning to cut off drug exports to the U.S. to kill Americans, is now trying to hide the reality of where coronavirus came from. In fact, they're doing worse than that. The Communist Party of China is trying to blame the virus on America. Li Zhao was a spokesman for China's foreign ministry. A week ago, Zhao attacked anyone who dared to link the virus to China.
Certain media say this coronavirus is a China virus. This is extremely irresponsible, and we firmly oppose that. We are still tracing the origin of the virus, and there is no conclusion yet.
That was last week. Zhao has evolved since then. Today on Twitter, he accused America of creating the virus. Quote, "When did patient 0 begin in U.S.? How many people are infected? What are the names of the hospitals? It might be U.S. Army that brought the epidemic to Wuhan. Be transparent. Make public your data. U.S. owes us an explanation!" Exclamation point.
In Matthew's Gospel, some of Christ's disciples came to him on the Mount of Olives looking for information about the end of this age and the beginning of the kingdom of God. Jesus gave several warnings about ongoing conditions that would typify the world's decline. And he warned not to be deceived into thinking it's the end when false messiahs, war, and famine disrupt the world. Now he gave a fourth condition, which, like the others, signals only the beginning of the process that leads to the end. He said, "And there will be pestilences in various places." This parallels the fourth horseman's ride. His horse is gray-green or yellowish-green, like the color of so many who are sick and dying.
Is the novel coronavirus a biological weapon? I don't mean to peddle any conspiracy theories here, but I do think we need to take a look at what everybody is saying. And there are some Iranian officials claiming that it is a biological weapon. We've got some Russian officials claiming that it is as well, and they're pointing the finger at the United States. Israel, some Israeli officials are also saying, yeah, it might be a biological weapon. They're claiming it was China that unleashed it. China hasn't really said anything, and the United States is saying, no, that is a hoax. So let's go ahead and break this down a bit. The former Iranian president came out claiming that the novel coronavirus was a biological weapon man-made in a lab. Mahmoud Ahmadinejad, Sorry about that. This is his tweet. He says, "It is clear to the world that the mutated coronavirus was produced in lab, manufactured by the warfare stockhouses of biological war belonging to world powers, and that it constitutes a threat on humanity more destructive than the other weapons that target humanity."
Keep in mind, these are the people, the Chinese leadership that our media class has allied with, has sucked up to for years, has made every excuse for endlessly. Even when China blamed the United States for a plague they unleashed, even when the Chinese government threatened to murder our citizens by cutting off drugs, our media continue to take their side. Watch this.
The president referred to the coronavirus as a, quote, foreign virus. And I think it's going to come across to a lot of Americans as smacking of xenophobia.
That was CNN's Jim Acosta, a poisonous moron. Amazingly, though, it was just 2 months ago, and we keep track, that Acosta was sending tweets himself about the, quote, Wuhan coronavirus. He hadn't yet received his orders from Jeff Zucker, who receives his from China, so that was okay.
The fourth horseman, the pale horse, symbolizes plague.
And when he had opened the fourth seal, I beheld a pale horse, and his name that sat on him was Death.
When he opened the fourth seal, I heard the voice of the fourth living creature say, "Come." And I looked, and behold, a pale horse, and its rider's name was Death. And Hades followed him.
The pale horse represents global plague.
He's the horseman of death. Huge percentages of the population will die.